Hey everyone, how's it going? So last time what we did is make the post ID attached to the delete button once we open this modal. So what we'll do now is actually go ahead and delete the post. We're ready for that now. So let's go back to our text editor. And last time I commented this out, but we don't actually need this because we won't actually be doing any deleting inside of this function. So we can go ahead and get rid of this whole ajax call here. And of course we'll get rid of that log as well. We don't need that anymore. We know that it works. So what are we going to do now? Well, what we're going to do is attach an event to this button right here. We're going to work on the click handler of this button. So all we're going to do is say, what is it? This one right here. So copy this ID, put it in there. So the ID, so remember your pound sign, ID delete post button, and we'll say .click like this. And then we'll just put a function in here which will execute when the button's clicked. Now, for now, we can just say alert hi, and we just test this works. So now once I press the delete button, we should see alert hi. Great, so we know the event's firing. Now just to reiterate, the reason we're doing it like this is because we only have to attach to the document when the element we want to fire the event on is not on the page when the page loads. So for example, the like button and the retweet button, they're not on the page when the page loads, because you'll notice when we refresh the page that we have to go and load the posts first. So the page loads first, then we go and load the posts, which means that these two buttons are not on the page at the time of the page loading. Okay, so because of that, we attach the click handler to the document instead, and of course the document is just the page, which obviously is there when the page loads, so that's why it works. The delete post button, this will be here when the page loads, because we, in the mixins file, we add this to the page right when the page loads. So this will be here, and that's why we can just attach the click handler to this button directly rather than doing it on the document. But it's worth noting that it would work all the same even if we attach it to the document instead. So it's entirely up to you. But anyway, we have this click handler now, so we know that when we press the delete button, we can go ahead and fire this function. So what we're going to do? Well, we're going to do a simple delete ajax call, okay? So the first thing we'll do though is get the ID. So we'll say ID equals, and then this, and inside there we'll say dot data, and then I'll just put ID in there. So what we're doing is we're getting the this element, and this of course is the element that the event was fired on. Now of course on a click handler, this refers to the element that was clicked. So essentially the button, and then we're getting the data ID value right here. Okay, so this ID should contain the post ID. Now all that's left to do is to make our ajax call. Now we're going to do a delete ajax call. If you remember, I said before there's 4 types of ajax call. You've got get and post, which we've used before. We've got put, which we also used, and then we also have delete. So there's get, post, put, and delete. So you'll see in the, if I open up the document, this like button one right here, you'll see that we used a put ajax request. Now we'll do the same thing, but for a delete ajax request. So in fact, I'll copy all that, because you know how lazy I am. I don't want to type all this out again. And I'll paste that there, and we'll just go ahead and change some of this stuff. So we are going to change the URL. We're not going to obviously send it to the like URL. We'll just send it to the posts one with the post ID. So keep it exactly like that. The type is going to be delete, so it's a delete request. And then of course we can handle this once we're done. In fact, all we're going to do in here is just say location dot reload, and that should just reload the page. So once we delete the post, we'll just reload the page. So that's actually it for our ajax call. We're done there. Now we're not using this post data thing, so if you want to, you can delete it, but it really doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and check this works. Obviously we'll get a 404 error because we haven't handled this the delete request to this path yet. So, but that's to be expected. Let's just refresh the page and make sure that the error contains the post ID. That's what I'm looking for here. So if I click this and click delete, we'll see an error, of course. But it says post ID was not defined. So if I click on that link, yeah, it's because I used post ID there, as you guys probably noticed. I'm going to rename this variable to post ID. I suppose that was a much better name from the start. So now if I do it, let's do this. We'll still see an error, of course, like I said. So let's check. So there we go, 404 not found, but this is what I was looking for. I want to make sure that this contains the right value, okay? Which it doesn't. It just says undefined. So I will go to here, and let's set a breakpoint, and let's click it again and see what happens. So what's this? This might be the wrong thing. Why is this not working? Do we have to get the target? Let's try it with the parameter instead. If you want, you can just watch me until I figure this out and then copy me. But I'm going to add event in there and then see. Let's see what event gives us. I think it needs to be event.target. I'm just guessing off the top of my head, but let me just refresh the page and see what that gives us. Do we have anything? So I click that. Event.target. It's just okay. This is the button, so maybe that'll work. Oops. Let me play right there. Now post ID. Okay, great. The post ID is there. So I just used the event.target as, instead. So on a click handler, it can pass in the event parameter, and this is just the object which contains the the event that was fired, and event.target is the target that the event was fired on. So that should be fine now. And if I press play, we'll still see an error, of course, but I just want to make sure that it contains the right ID, and it does. Okay, so great. We know the ajax call is fine, but of course we need to handle the root, so we'll do that in the next video.